Hi, everybody. Welcome back to another episode of the Zoop podcast. We typically live stream on YouTube and Facebook every Wednesday night at 6 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, 9 p.m. Eastern. You can also check this out on Spotify and iTunes. Just search for the Zoop podcast. Every week, we're going to have a new guest. Every week is typically going to be someone who is running a live campaign on Zoop, and this week is no exception. Today, we have Claire Napier. And with her book, The Magic Necklace, by the time you hear this episode, it will be live at the link that's running across the Cryon at the bottom of the screen. The link will also be in the show notes if you are listening on the podcast. It is zoop.gg/c/The Magic Necklace. I'm not going to spell that for you. You should be able to spell The Magic Necklace, but check that out. Go support Claire, and let's welcome her to the Zoop podcast. Claire, thank you so much for being here.
Thank you for having me.
Very excited about this book. This is something that is very different than most things that we typically see coming to Zoop and maybe even crowdfunding in general. So let's kind of start from the inception of the book. What led you to put pen to paper and start working on The Magic Necklace?
Well, you know what? Instead of answering that question, I apologize. It's a fine question. It's just I have answered it on some of the other podcasts that you booked me on very impressively, which I think says a lot for the tier 2 Zoop campaign offering. So you should, all you listeners now, you should go and listen to the other podcasts that John put me onto and get the info there. And anyone considering running a Zoop campaign of your own, there you go. You get on a lot of podcasts. It's worthwhile. So instead of that, how about I tell you said that it's a little bit different from the other Zoop campaigns that have gone so far. And I agree. As you may remember, although I'm not sure if it was you or not, but when I was approached about doing this campaign, my worry was that it was a little bit different. In fact, my worry was that it would be completely inappropriate for certain reasons. So I was encouraged.
Which people, if you back the campaign, you'll be able to see what Claire's talking about. But go on.
Yes, you will. So I was encouraged to send a test penis. Just to check that it would be acceptable, that it would be fine, that it would be an appropriate comic for Zoop. Not like a real life penis, just a page from the comic on which a penis appears in order to okay it. And it was okayed. So maybe you'll be seeing more of that kind of thing on Zoop, maybe you won't. Maybe it depends on me. So, come book my comic, and then maybe, who knows? Who knows what will come next?
So, by the way, that was me. That was the two of us going back and forth on Twitter. I think you had mentioned something about a project and not knowing, where it should live and everything like that. And I had reached out, and you were very hesitant.
I was.
Yeah, but we pulled it out of you, and now the world is going to get to see this.
Yeah.
But by the way, as someone who has seen it, I don't see anything wrong with it. I think there have been a lot. Really... I don't think that. Well, I mean, there's been so many mature comics out there right now. I mean, like Brian K. Vaughan has a mature comic, and that art is very. It doesn't hold anything back. You're seeing everything in his art, and I think if someone of that stature is doing, adult type of work, I think that really opens up the door. And opens up the acceptance of the community of that type of work.
Well, then, thank you, Brian.
Going back,
and Fiona.
Yeah, thank you, Brian. But just going back a little bit, I know that you are the writer. You're doing all of the art, and you are also by trade an editor.
Yeah.
So a couple of different questions, and I ask this of many people. Number one, as someone who is a writer and an artist, do you consider yourself a cartoonist?
Yeah.
Okay. Is that your definition? Someone who writes and does their own art together is a cartoonist?
Yeah, I would say so. I mean, don't forget the lettering. That's pretty
Sorry.
vital
Yep.
as well.
Yes. Thank you for, yeah.
You're welcome.
Yeah.
See, that's the training from being a critic. You've got to mention everybody, or else they come for you. Yeah. Being a cartoonist, I mean, I wouldn't really be incredibly bothered if someone who only did one part of it was like, I'm a cartoonist, blah blah blah. It doesn't, no skin off my nose, you know. But yeah,
Sure.
I don't think of myself as a cartoonist or the cartoonist when I am only doing one part, which for me means if I'm writing, because I don't really like to draw other people's things. Then I'm just a writer. So yeah, cartoonist.
Do you prefer, so you don't like to draw other people's writing, but do you prefer to work alone, or do you prefer to potentially have an artistic collaborator, or does it depend on the material?
Yeah, it does depend on the material. Because I know my limits. At least for the current time, I know what I can expect to finish, like how many pages. I
Sure.
know the kind of art that I can currently achieve, or like that I feel is the next step. I'm not going to overcommit myself, because I used to do that, and that's why I have a much smaller body of work than I could do, because I used to overcommit myself and then get scared and not do it. But yeah, like for example, the stretch goals on my campaign are all paying for pages from Warwick Johnson Cadwell, because we want to do a comic together, and this is the only way that I can afford to do that.
Sure.
And that comic, for example, I wrote with him in mind. I had the idea, but I wrote with him in mind because I love the way he draws. I love the way he draws bodies and horror, and he's just so, I don't know, there's just life in it. There's thoughtful, interesting character and charm.
And can you say their name again, and maybe some credits so that people can maybe go check them out?
Warwick
Or
Johnson Cadwell. I'm like 90% sure that I always get so worried because he's got a double-barreled surname that I'm going to say
sure.
them the wrong way around, because I always think, am I doing it right? And then I think, if I'm worrying, then I must be doing it wrong. But that's not necessarily the case. He's just done another book with Mignola.
Oh wow!
I don't remember the title of it. You've put me on the spot, Jordan.
I'm sorry. That's okay. I'm gonna take you away. But how did you guys connect then? I mean, that's like, wow. That, this guy's working with Mike Mignola. You also now have a connection to this artist who you plan to be doing the same with. So that's like some pretty cool stuff.
Me and Mike were just the same. No, I know him from conventions. He's in the British scene. He knows people I know.
Cool.
I speak to him when I see him at the cons. I think I probably knew his work before I knew him, because he was on Tank Girl for a while.
Very cool.
Exactly. And I saw it there, and I just fell in love. I adore the way that he visually thinks. It's wonderful. I think I lost track of the question.
You know what? That's okay. This is just more of a conversation, because you made me think of something else. And sorry if this is stereotypical. Oh, you live in the UK, but are you a fan of, and was sort of maybe a little bit of your upbringing in comics, 2000 AD and Tank Girl and Judge Dredd, and that type of stuff?
Short answer, no. Longer answer, yes. As a child, I did not read 2000 AD or any of the other mentioned things. I first read Tank Girl and Slaughter the Horn God, which is, Bisley and Mills, from 2000 AD, from like 92, 1.
Sure.
When I was like 17 or 18, I think, because my boyfriend had them. And I'd heard of Tank Girl, obviously, like, I don't know how, but
there was a movie that That could have been how.
There was, but that completely passed me by. Like that, it wasn't the right time, and I wasn't the right demographic. Like I grew up in villages, small villages.
Wow, so like not like on the outskirts of some of the major cities in the UK?
No. That
Like the outskirts of those major cities?
I guess like I guess
Wow.
I would say in the countryside.
Okay.
So coolness and subculture and that kind of intrigue was extremely compelling to me, but also extremely distant.
Sure.
It was something that I saw like the fringes of through people's older sisters or brothers. So I wanted it, but I didn't have access. I don't think I ever noticed 2000 AD in the newsagent when I was getting my magazines or my comics. Like, I don't know if it was there. I don't know if it was just shelved away from the kinds of things that I was getting, but it never crossed my path until probably until I was a teenager and I started reading American comics.
What were you picking up?
When I
Do you
started,
remember?
Witchblade, Extreme
Yeah.
X-Men, and just anything that looked sort of vaguely. I didn't understand how the shop worked. Like I couldn't figure out its layout. I couldn't figure out what was new, what wasn't new, like how things fitted together. There was no like manual for this pokey little shop. So I just picked up things out of desperation. I just wanted to know how it all worked. But then once I was doing that, then I gradually started to understand that they only came out once a month, which meant that if I'd already bought something that month, then there wasn't anything to buy for the next 3 weeks. So then occasionally, if I was desperate, which I usually would be because I read very fast, and when I was in town, I would have to stock up and take it home and then, survive until the next time I was in town. So sometimes I would look in W.H. Smith's, which is just a high street newsagent chain, and they have, the British market magazines and magazine comics. So eventually, I would have heard about 2000 AD from comics fandom online, and then I would dip in and out. And honestly, in the 2000s, I didn't find anything that grabbed me. I didn't like it. I didn't really think it was very good. But the Horn Guard, very good. So I always kind of felt that I didn't really need to read Judge Dredd because aesthetically, it's just like, and this isn't a disparaging thing, it's just so like culturally inherent. It feels not obvious exactly, but present. Like I didn't feel like I wasn't already informed,
Yeah, it wasn't part of the counterculture that you were seeking. It was more of a mainstream type of
No, that's not what I mean.
imagery. Oh, okay.
Like
You already knew about
like
him.
the kind of thing that I would like, that I didn't have to actually go ahead and like it because it was just there being that kind of thing.
Sure. No,
So
I get
I
that.
read a little Judge Dredd from the library. What's it called? I don't remember the name of the story, but it's the one where he bullies a guy because he won't shave his mustache and then feels bad when he dies.
I don't know, but I was just being like stereotypical, like, oh well, you're British, I'm sure you read like Judge Dredd, but where do you live now? I'm assuming you're not still sort of in the outskirts of the outskirts. Are you closer to a city, or has the
I'm a
pandemic
little bit
changed things and
closer.
like now you're back out somewhere?
No, not at all. I don't dream of cities. They don't entice me. I live in a town now, but it's a very small town. It's about 10 times the size of my village, I think, but that's still not remarkable because my village has, let me count, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 shops and 2 pubs.
I just like that you get to say my village. That's kind of awesome, actually.
It's just normal silly.
Yeah. But in terms of sort of, getting into creating your own stuff, you have a very unique art style. How actually, Chance, if you're there, can you throw up some of those pages so that we can kind of take a look? But if you could sort of maybe explain your style, like if someone, or I guess the other question is, if you've done other work, is it also in this style, or was this style specifically for this story?
Yeah, it is actually. It's not. I mean, there's going to be similarities because these are the only hands I have, and they work a certain way. But yeah, the last book I did, Take Me to the Place I Love, looks different, and that was on purpose because it's a different tonal story. It has a different atmosphere. It's supposed to, and I guess when I was younger. When I was like a teenager, I wanted to be a comics artist. I wanted to draw the X-Men, which I wouldn't even do if you paid me now. But I wanted to then. And I thought that I needed to have a style. And I dreamt of having a style because I didn't feel that I had one. I didn't know how to make one, how to achieve, like how to isolate a style at all. Trying to felt fake, which it was because I was trying to do something that was imaginary. But reading Miss Don't Touch Me and comparing how it looks to the I think next book that they did, I think the name they use is Kerisquet. I'm not really sure how to pronounce it, but I think it's a French team, husband and wife. I think they share art duties. I'm not sure. This is all off the top of my head. Yeah. But the books look different, and you can see why they look different. Like if you consider what they're about and exactly how they're supposed to feel, it makes perfect sense. It's an almost obvious artistic choice to just draw it how it should look. It's part of the the format. Like it's like directing a movie. If you want it to feel like a different kind of thing, you make it look like a different kind of thing. So, yeah, it seems normal.
Yeah, I like what you just said. I'm going to draw it how it should look.
Yeah,
like that's actually like very profound without trying to be profound. But yeah, draw it how it should look. And I mean, there's no doubt that the art style complements the story very much so.
That's good to hear.
Yeah,
I think intentionality is really the one thing that you absolutely need if you're going to be in the arts as a hobby or as a career. Because, well, honestly, it's just what you need in life. If you're just doing things willy-nilly, then all the consequences and all the effects that you receive are going to be unexpected. And then you'll just have to deal with it. But if you're intentional, then you may not achieve exactly what you think you want, but you will at least achieve something that is in line with your intention. It sort of creates a better circumstance for the work that you hope to produce, I think.
And so that being said, how do you feel that the book came out? Was it what you intended to put on the page? Did it reflect what was in your head?
Honestly, I don't remember because it looks how it is now. Like I can't argue with it. I don't really think I did it wrong, in hindsight.
Sure.
I'm satisfied with the work. That's cool. So it's gone. Like when I was younger, people would tell me I had to read Lord of the Rings. And I didn't want to because I had this idea of what it would be like. And I didn't like that idea of what it would be like. And then when the movies came out, I saw them because I was in love with Elijah Wood. And
good reason.
I liked them. And I went and I read Lord of the Rings and I loved it. And I read it again and again and so on. And I can't remember what I knew that I thought it was like. But I can remember how extremely I thought it would be like that. Do you see what I mean? It's really strange that
Yeah,
I
no,
can't
I do.
remember what I really thought, but I can remember what it felt like to think that. It's kind of the same thing.
It's your preconceived notion about something that you kind of don't know anything
Right.
about versus the reality of what it really is. Taking a step back, I know that you also edit professionally, for other people.
Mm-hmm.
2 quick questions. Do you know roughly maybe like how many books you sort of have under your belt? And do you prefer kind of coming in and like playing editor for other people's stuff or working on your own stuff?
I don't have a clue how many, honestly.
Okay. Well, I've been to the
Um,
website, so I would say at least dozens
I've
of
got
projects.
most of the ones that are out on my website, like the covers in the gallery, so I could count them now. I won't because I'll be
No,
clicking
no,
around. It'll sound
that's
very
okay.
annoying. But I know that I don't have all of them there because not everybody sends me the things that I
Oh,
ask them to. I'm sure that you can relate to that. And so many of them are not yet published that
gotcha.
I would have to keep a tally, and I don't. Maybe I should. I
And
probably should
that's totally
start.
fine.
It just
We'll leave it.
doesn't occur to me to count, honestly, because I live in the moment.
There you go. Well, dozens, but the point is that you've worked on a lot of other people's stuff.
I guess so, yeah.
And do you prefer that, or do you prefer, if you could, just working on your own stuff and not, you know, editing other people's, or do you enjoy both equally in some way?
I definitely enjoy both. If I had so much money that I didn't need to do anything for money, I think I probably would still edit because it's a different kind of exercise. And also because it is collaborative. I do like working on my own projects and being completely like the acrobat. But it's also pleasant to speak to people and share ideas and help. Like editing is basically being helpful.
Sure.
And being helpful is a pleasant thing to do.
Absolutely. No, I 100% agree. For this book and maybe even some of your other books, do you find, self-publishing to be preferable to trying to pitch, your work to other publishers? And is there like a certain, maybe like integrity that goes with like putting it out yourself?
I despise pitching. I can't stand it. Pathologically, it appalls me. I understand the purpose of it.
Sure.
I don't technically have like a quarrel with the concept, but I can't do it. It just doesn't work for me. I have done it once and I hated it and I got no answer. So like, why would I do it again?
That bothers me. By the way, just I need to say, any sort of like non-response to something, like someone's really trying to do something, a non-response to me is like such a slimy thing. I don't know.
It was a shame. I mean, I like, people are busy and blah blah blah, but
yeah, but
it made me feel bad. So
everybody could take that one moment to say, thank you so much. Unfortunately, this is not for us. And that probably would have made you feel not as bad as the like, oh God, they didn't even like respond. That's how I take.
I don't know, like, because like, maybe they didn't even get it. Like maybe I did something wrong. Like maybe I didn't do it in the correct format and I just didn't realize. There's just, because there was no response at all, I guess I can just sort of skip away, and just like write off the experience as something that I tried and didn't like.
Sure.
I guess maybe it would have been better to get a response, but if it's going to be a negative response, then do I need it? I don't know. It's like it amounts to the same.
I don't know. Me personally, like radio silence is the worst thing.
Yeah.
but everybody's different. And look, we've been talking for a while now. I don't think we really touched on. Tell us a little bit about the magic necklace. For people who are interested in backing the campaign, again, zoop.gg/c/the magic necklace. Give us sort of the quick pitch. What's this story about, and why people should check it out.
Jordan, I just told you I don't like pitching.
This is not that kind of pitch. This is the sales pitch as opposed to the publisher pitch. So,
okay. The Magic Necklace is a horror romance erotic thriller. It's not for children, but it is for grown-ups. It's about what a girl might do if she didn't have to worry. Romantically, domestically, fashionably as well. It's 30 pages. No, it isn't.
No,
it's 40 pages.
Yeah, I was going to say we're in the 40. We're in the 40s somewhere.
The last one was 30 pages. This one is 40.
44. We're the chance of saying 44 pages.
Okay, including the covers. Yes. See, I'm not good at it.
That's okay. But you know what? You definitely touched on something interesting. It's man, I might be using the wrong term here, and I don't want to come off as insensitive because I'm not a woman, but my wife says the same thing. If like, what's the number one thing that you would do if you didn't have to worry about anything? And like for most women, that answer is like, go for a walk, go for a run. So this, like, the book is a bit of like wish fulfillment, or
it is. Yeah, but it takes it a little bit further and goes more explicitly into the question, into the sexual aspect of that question, because most of the time when women are saying, I don't go for a walk because I'm afraid, what they mean is, I'm afraid that I'm going to experience violence, probably sexual violence. So yeah, if you didn't have to be afraid of sexual predation, what kind of flirty, slutty things might you do? That is the story of the Magic Necklace.
Yeah. Yeah. So look, for
but not in just like a la 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 whatever way. It's, intellectual, okay?
Oh no, 100%. There's serious social commentary in here, but there's also a little bit of wish fulfillment. There's also a little bit of do I dare say, like, I that might be too spoilery, so I'll keep that thought to myself.
Do you dare say it? Tell me, because you said that we could edit this, so I want to know.
Oh, we can. Okay, so I'm gonna say like revenge porn in a little way. If something like that is there. In
terms of that, using that phrase in a way that is not the usual way that phrase is used. Yes.
Yeah. I'm sorry. I realize it like as I'm saying it, but yeah.
Not
in a way,
the release of private pornography.
Yes, correct.
After a breakup, but the pornographizing of the concept of revenge. Yes.
And I do have to touch on the fact that we're working on some incredibly unique rewards that will be available for purchase as part of this campaign that very much reflect the theme of the story. Without giving too much away, you really have to come check out the campaign page to see what these rewards are going to be. But definitely, I can guarantee
rewards.
Pink rewards. I can guarantee you've never ever seen the reward that we're talking about on any other crowdfunding campaign ever. So we're very excited about that. Once we're done recording, we definitely need to talk a little bit further about that, by the way.
Okay.
I do just have some rapid fire questions that I typically ask like towards the end of an interview. Number one, what's your desert island run? You're stuck on a desert island. You have one book or one run of books to read. What is it?
X-Men 1975 to 1994.
Wow. I love that answer and how quick it was. Just like there. Is that the most is that like the most influential thing to you as a reader or a creator, or just your favorite thing, and there's no sort of like figuring out why?
It's just foundational.
There you go.
Yeah.
Love it. That being said, who would be your one dream collaborator?
Warwick Johnson Cadwell.
Oh,
give me your money so I can do it.
You hear that, people? We can make some dreams happen here. We could turn dreams into reality. Just support the campaign here. Claire, where can people find you on social media?
Everywhere. I've got Twitter, I've got Instagram, I've got Tumblr, I've got TikTok. I'm on Discord.
Are you at Claire Napier everywhere?
No, I'm not. I'm either Illus Claire, ILLUSCLAARE, or Claire Napier OK. It's a toss-up. You can try both everywhere.
Gotcha. And again, for the people who are checking us out, thank you. We're on YouTube, Facebook. I believe we'll have some clips of this on Instagram, TikTok, everywhere else that you could find this. Check out the audio version on iTunes, Spotify, and most importantly, please support Claire on her campaign at zoop.gg/C/the magic necklace. Get the book, get some of the other rewards. Let's have some fun with this one. And we thank you for checking us out. Yes, Chance, take us out, man.